A massive, state-of-the-art car showroom sitting vacant represents a terminal liability. Without inventory on the floor, the interest on the initial capital investment compounds daily, rapidly depleting the operation's remaining cash reserves. Legitimate revenue streams cannot keep pace with this burn rate. Repairing high-end vehicles or flipping rare cars through legitimate auctions produces margins that are too thin and too slow. To keep the doors open, the business requires a sudden, massive influx of product that the owners cannot afford to buy. With liquidation looming and debt collectors closing in, the owners realize that standard market growth is no longer a viable path to solvency. This desperation forces a pivot. They stop looking for legitimate sellers and start identifying manufacturing targets for high-value illicit acquisition. Survival in this niche of the automotive world demands a total departure from legal business models. When the debt becomes insurmountable, the only way to fill the floor is to embrace the extreme risks of a concept car heist. The target is a heavily fortified manufacturing facility designed to protect trade secrets. This is where multi-million-dollar concept hypercars are assembled, far away from public roads or standard police patrols. To protect these assets, the facility employs military-grade defense systems. The perimeter consists of reinforced bunker-like walls, automated steel gates, and armed security details that maintain constant, overlapping patrols around the property. This top-down schematic illustrates the problem. The red arcs represent the guards' interlocking fields of fire. Between the automated choke points and the impenetrable perimeter walls, a traditional frontal assault is a mathematical impossibility. A breach attempt would be neutralized by security before the crew could reach the main doors. Since the perimeter cannot be forced, the crew has to find a way to make the facility unknowingly invite them inside. Exploiting a fortress requires surveillance. From a nearby vantage point, the crew monitors the facility's daily rhythm, logging every vehicle and shipment that passes through the gates to find a single operational anomaly. This flowchart highlights a critical vulnerability in the logistical chain. While standard transport vehicles must stop for 3 separate security screenings, the factory relies on heavy supply trains to maintain its production speed. To ensure materials arrive on time, these trains bypass the perimeter checkpoints entirely on an uninterrupted rail line. The plan relies on the facility's trust in its own automation. The crew will intercept the train miles away, slip inside the empty shipping containers, and wait for the factory's own crane operators to lift them over the walls and deposit them directly onto the manufacturing floor. Absolute security is impossible when a facility requires constant material deliveries to function. Bypassing a military-grade perimeter is often a matter of identifying and hitching a ride on the target's own logistical necessities. Getting onto that supply line requires a perfectly timed jump. The crew must position themselves on a concrete overpass and wait for the freight train to pass underneath, timing their freefall precisely to land on the moving metallic roofs below. After the jump, the operation enters a passive phase. The crew waits in total darkness inside the containers, listening as the train rolls past the armed perimeter guards and comes to a stop deep inside the assembly plant. That silence breaks the moment the containers are set down. The crew bursts out on the factory floor, using the immediate surprise to neutralize the security detail and take control of the hypercars before the factory can be locked down. The calculating precision of the infiltration phase instantly evaporates once the shooting starts. At this point, the mission transforms from a quiet insertion into the chaotic reality of an armed strike. The crew secures the 4 multi-million-dollar cars and hits the exit, but the gunfire triggers a massive 5-star police response. Within minutes, the heist becomes a high-speed chase involving every unit in the city. Controlling these cars is a physical challenge. Hypercars are built for aerodynamics and speed, not for surviving a police pursuit. At maximum throttle, even a slight bump from a patrol car can send a multi-million-dollar asset spinning out of control. To lose the trail, an outside contact orchestrates an extraction inside a nearby highway tunnel. The plan is to vanish before the police helicopters can regain their line of sight. This radar graphic shows the mechanics of the escape. As the 4 cars enter the tunnel zone, they align with 2 heavy transport trucks. Without slowing down, the drivers move up the ramps and into the back of the trailers. On the other side of the tunnel, the police are left searching for 4 fast-moving cars, while 2 slow-moving trucks simply merge into traffic. A successful getaway isn't just about speed, it's about altering the profile of the target. By breaking the line of sight and hiding the cars in plain sight, the crew makes the entire pursuit irrelevant. Physically, the operation is a success. The stolen inventory is safely secured at the showroom, ready for export. The massive financial deficit that once threatened the business has been entirely erased. But the high-stakes environment leaves a lasting psychological toll. The extreme violence and the pressure of a near-death high-speed chase create an unsustainable level of stress for the individuals involved. This pressure eventually fractures the partnership. Key operatives, including Trevor and Franklin, decide to walk away forever, concluding that the rewards of the theft do not justify the risks of the execution. This diagram illustrates operational burnout. The currency on one side represents the payout, but the network on the other shows how human connections snap. The extreme stresses of the job destroy the human components required to maintain the partnership. Stealing from an impenetrable fortress is only one part of the heist. Keeping your crew together and surviving the psychological cost, that is the true price of the blueprint.